Serby Media.
Good evening, Gabby.
Good evening, TC, and welcome all to episode 9 of the weekly podcast with the idol of Hillsborough, Terry Curran, on his podcast, The Curran View. How are you, mate?
Fine, thanks. Especially with Sheffield Wednesday sitting at the top of the league and keeping New Birmingham supporters at arm's length. But at the same time, a bit disappointed. I went to watch Jock last night and they got a tanking. So other than that, not too bad.
It's been a great week in football. There's been so many things that have happened. 24 hours in football is a long time. A week in football is sometimes like an eternity. But we're going to start off tonight with our magic number. It is episode number 9. Who's the best number 9 that you played with or played against?
The best number 9 I played. Yeah. Well, obviously there's two or three different types of number 9.
Yeah.
The best number 9 I played with, really, it would be Charlie George, because he got everything. But again, then I played with Andy Gray, who were another different type of number 9, a brave number 9. Having said that, Charlie was brave.
Yeah.
But Andy would go diving in between boots and maybe not looking to get kicked in face, but on occasion would get kicked in face. Where Charlie would be more technical ball skills, as well as, I mean, he was brave in the air and everything else was Charlie, but different types of centre forwards. But those were the best two I did play with.
In terms of Andy Gray, I think you're absolutely right. I remember when he come down from Scotland to play for Aston Villa, he was brave, he was fearless. Do you think we've got them kind of number 9s today in the modern game?
Well, not like Andy.
Yeah.
We've got a different type of, or we've had a different type of centre forward where, I mean, they've done away with wingers, so you never get into byline to pull balls back for big lads. It's been like a more direct football into 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" centre forwards, which it's either been pumped up or it's been diagonal balls into the box. No, we haven't got that type. I wouldn't say we've got that type of football in England. It's just a big lad where the ball's pumped up to him.
Mm-hmm. Magic moment. What's been your magic moment of watching football this week? I haven't seen as much because last weekend it was my wife's birthday and my grandson's birthday, so I didn't see that much football, but I did go to St Andrews last night. So firstly, what's your magic moment of this week that you've seen?
A piece of great skill by Jesus to score a goal, yet kept himself calm, scored the goal, and then had it disallowed because of VAR with the handball, which could have been either an handball against Tottenham or an handball against Manchester City. And it went the other way around. So that was the exciting moment. Whereas the City fans were excited, thinking they'd won it at the death. Yet Tottenham fans were elated when it was disallowed, and they was happy with the draw.
And that's not the first time that VAR has changed the outcome of a game between Manchester City and Tottenham, has it?
No, I mean the Champions League last season.
Exactly.
They say it's amazing how sometimes it occurs. I remember an old guy once saying to me, when you look at football results, if you look at last season's results, you know, there's sometimes, or a lot of times, they seem to occur, whether it's a 2-1, whatever team it is, or a 2-2, or a 0-0. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because the Tottenham game was not a 4-3, but it was a 2-2 and looked like a 3-2. And it was a similar outcome, with a similar outcome to a disallowed goal. So it is funny how things do happen. It is, you know.
And this VAR, it should have been for clear and obvious errors, and I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. But in terms of you're looking at, I mean, a lot of people call him Jesus, don't they? I mean, I call him Jesus because we say it's Jesus Christ, not Jesus Christ. So I don't know where they get the Jesus from. So you can call him Jesus, I'll call him Jesus. But you know, when you look at that VAR, if you have to look at an incident on a couple of 3 times, for me that isn't clear and obvious. It should be thrown out and the decision should be given, your gut decision, that it was a goal.
Well, you and I don't know who's making these rules up
Yeah,
and why they're making the rules up. Again, I mean, we touched on the VAR last week. Again, I thought it was just for balls that had gone over the line,
yeah.
like the Frank Lampard incident in the World Cup, which was a clear goal. Yet the referee didn't give it. For what reason? You and I will never know why they didn't give it. And I thought that's what it'd come in for. Um, Personally, if they're going to keep carrying on like this, I think it will spoil the game. I mean, spoil the celebrations of goals.
Yeah.
But here's a but side to it. It's the fans then what will be jubilant because one will be disappointed and the other one is going to be elated. Now I hope that it doesn't start causing trouble between fans because looking at things like that, when fans are high and excited thinking their team scored, and then the other team thinking it is a goal, and then it's disallowed, and then being ecstatic and excited. I hope it's not going to bring a bit of violence back to our terraces because things like that can cause, trouble among fans.
It certainly can, and we've seen a little bit of, what should we say, nice stuff coming through in football on terraces and through social media, and it don't seem as though it's a million miles away from something like that happening, Terry, to like that blue touch paper where it does affect the crowd to such a degree, especially in an important game towards the end of the season, more so than the beginning of the season. Although I happen to think that leagues are won in August as much as they are won in May, all games are equal. All 36 or 38 or 46 games are exactly the same. They're 90 minutes and there's 3 points at stake. But when you come down to them fine margins and fine details, it could take something like that really to tip them scales.
It can do really because
Yeah,
I mean you never get it in rugby. When you see rugby players on a rugby pitch having a full blown fight, a proper full blown fight,
mm,
where you would see little pushes and shoves from football players, which can cause trouble and people fighting breaking fights out on the terraces or in the seats. So a thing like this could cause a big problem. I hope it doesn't,
yeah,
and I hope people look at it and try and accept it. But going back to the point, what you were saying about it's as much important as in August
yeah.
as it is in May because if you lose the first three games, if a Manchester City or a Liverpool lose the first three games, that could be a big mountain to climb for them to win the league.
Mm.
You know, not necessarily for a team to get back into the contention of getting into the top four, but to win a league, very rare you will ever see, a team lose the first three games or drop points in the first four games, big points, or lots of points. To go and win the Premier League. So you're right. It's a big thing to have a good start to the season.
And that leads us nicely on to one of our other regular features, Owls and Blues, because you're obviously a big Sheffield Wednesday, not just fan, but a legend. I'm just a little Birmingham City supporter. But you've had such a great start. You're top of the league. At the moment, Leeds are playing tonight because we record this of a Wednesday this week and we will do next week, so it'll go out on the Thursday. But at this present moment in time, as we are talking, Sheffield Wednesday are top of the league. But I do look at some of the groups and the fans don't seem that elated with the style of football that Wednesday are playing. So is it all about the results or is it about how you achieve those results for fans?
Well, I'll go back to me being a legend.
Yeah,
I know that you're a legend with the radio shows down in and around the Birmingham or the Midlands area. So we've got to class you as a legend as well as me, Gabby. No, I think what's happened over the years, and it's disappointed me, and how football was turned round in England or in Britain altogether. Because Scotland used to produce great players,
yeah,
we used to produce great players, and they changed the system. Now, with the foreign coaches and foreign players coming into it, they've opened the eyes up to a lot of, or the next generation now of fans and coaches. So now the fans are looking to want to win like a Barcelona or a Real Madrid or a Man United or a Manchester City in your modern day coaches and your modern day teams. So at the lower level, they'll still hope for a result and not bother how they're going to play as long as they can get into the Premier League. But the Premier League teams now, and it is filtering down into the Championship, the Premier League teams now are wanting to play football and win with some style or panache. I mean, Ryan Lowe's gone to Plymouth Argyle, and he's talking about wanting to play football, play out from the back, and try and play a pure game of football, and hope to get Plymouth Argyle promoted with playing attacking football. I mean, he has talked about, you've got to be careful of how much you attack it. But going back to Sheffield Wednesday, I think they're still a bit disillusioned with the scenario with Steve Bruce, and yet there's been no appointment or confirmation of whether Lee Bullen's going to get the job or not. But what clips I've seen of him, there've been some exciting moments in there. So they have got pace back into the team, which under Josh, before Bruce came into the club to manage the club, it was boring, negative football. Bruce turned it round a little bit, and maybe if they'd have brought him in a little bit earlier, he may have got us in the top four. You can't say, because at the end of the day, it's an hypothetical question. But I think they're still a bit disillusioned with who's going to be the manager. Some are wanting an experienced manager. Some are wanting Lee Bullen to get a job. As long as they appoint someone, I think then it'll take all that negativity away, or some of the negativity away, and hope that we can get on and try and get in this top four and try and get promoted into the Premier League.
Now, would it be beyond the realms of possibility, or would this be quite ridiculous, that Lee Bullen's done well in August and Wednesday are top? If he does well in September and he does well in October, why don't they just let him carry on and continue with the job that he's doing? Where I'm coming from is Solskjaer coming to Man United last season and had a direct effect on results. When they gave him the job permanently, it seemed to taper off. So would it be a good idea for Wednesday just to say, well, carry on, keep doing what you're doing. As long as we're winning, you're going to be the gaffer. If it starts to go pear-shaped and tailor off, we may have to address that. But at the moment, it's not broken, so we don't need to fix it.
Well, it was thrown about with Solskjaer, like you say.
Yeah.
That as soon as he got the job, did the players down tools again, whatever. But in that scenario, Solskjaer now has got his own players in what he's wanted.
Yeah.
It still might want to add one or two more, and they'll get that. You're not going to do it over one transfer deadline. It might take 2 or 3 transfer deadlines to get the exact type of player you want into your club. Now, when you look at Sheffield Wednesday, are they having problems? I mean, they've had a little a transfer embargo.
Yeah.
Where they couldn't buy players. So do they want to give a manager the job and think that he might make the mistake? So I think they are leaving it open. They are leaving, whatever is doing well, they'll leave it and see how it goes on. I think if he keeps winning, I'm not sure whether they'll give him a job or not. I mean, I would give him the job, because at the end of the day, he's been at the club now quite a few years. He played there when he got them back into the Championship when they played Arsenal, Hartlepool at that Cardiff Millennium Stadium, because I went down to that game. So he'd become a big Sheffield Wednesday fan. So in my opinion, why not get behind him? Let's give him the job and let's back him as much as we can. No one's guaranteed to be successful. We'll only see that by seeing the team right through to the end of the season. Yes, you can look at it. I mean, you look at the Huddersfield scenario. The guy came in, Stuart, 19 games and only won one of them. Then you've got to make a decision on a manager. I think at 19 games, you might not think it's a lot, 7 months, but you could see there was no progress at all in that. Bullen's come in and he's kept the team flowing and going forward. So it's a funny predicament to be in for the club, but it's a funny predicament for Bullen because he's been at the club, he's worked with the academy and then the under 23s and then up to the first team. So I would imagine he's settled in there. Is he thinking, well, if I don't do well and I finish up getting sacked, that I've lost my job, then it's hard to get back into football. So there's all those little things what go with it. But if they give him the job and they sacked him, then he might have to leave the club. But if the results don't go well, then he can drop back into the previous role he had and still have a job for him and his family that he's got security. So it's a funny thing with Bullen, but I would give him the job. Is Sheffield Wednesday through and through, and he knows what the spectators, the fans want. So we'll just have to wait and see, Gabby.
Who's the young guns coming through at Sheffield Wednesday? At my team, Birmingham. I went to watch Birmingham last night. They beat Barnsley 2-0. I wasn't particularly impressed with Barnsley, if I'm absolutely honest. I thought the first hour of the game, I've seen better. And I thought, blimey, this is an hour of my life I'm not going to get back. But then a little bit of magic by Villalba. Put the ball out the right-hand side to young fullback who played wing-back last night, Wesley Harding, who is one of my Birmingham City young guns. Put a great ball into the box. Put the ball into that area, Djukovic will finish it. He is a typical dogged, old-fashioned centre-forward in the mould of Andy Gray. He'll put his head down anywhere he will to make a difference. And then a moment of brilliance, a great pass by young Snedden, found Jimenez, and on his debut scored a lovely goal when he didn't the goalkeeper. So my three young guns for Birmingham City are Wesley Harding, Odin Bailey, who come on, made his debut last night for Birmingham, played 5 minutes, little cameo performance, and Jude Bellingham, who played against Pompey. For me, them are three young kids that hopefully I'll see a lot more of down at St Andrews, and that's what I love to see, the integration of youngsters, because I think that's the future of any football club. What's it like at Wednesday?
Well, there is for the last few years we haven't had too many young players coming through. I mean, Palmer is going to the team, and they finished up putting him as a full back now. There were Georgia's, but George was wanting to get into the first team as quickly as possible, and I understand that. Him not getting game time, then finished up being sold into a Belgian club, but now he's gone to Leicester City. We don't seem to want to promote and push our young players. Now we've got Bullen in there. We'll just have to wait and see which ones what will may come through, which ones that he might promote into the team. But like anything else, he'll be trying to get the job, so he'll still rely on experienced players. There's nothing outstanding what I've heard of at this moment in time or what I've seen, but you just don't know until they get pushed into the first team, Gabby. Because I watched Portsmouth and Birmingham the other week, and they played the young boys.
Yeah.
And looking at it, they handled it well, and for me, they've got 4 or 5 what may be beneficial to Birmingham in the coming seasons. So I'm hoping that we might see some of these young boys come through into the Sheffield Wednesday, whether it be on the bench and thrown on for the last 10-20 minutes, so we can have a good look at them, or that they might break in and get a good run in the team. But there's nothing stands out at this moment in time.
But you're right when you reference young players there and the Birmingham and Portsmouth game. In my opinion, Pep put too many in at the same time, and it was almost as though you're putting the white flag up. You actually don't think you're going to win the game. And Birmingham actually played without a central striker or a goal threat because Vassal had just been sold to Cardiff. So it was like, for me, lambs going into the slaughter. For young kids, it's great integrating them, but not too many. And putting too many in the team at the same time could destroy a young player. Now, where I'm coming from is Bolton Wanderers. Bolton were due to play Doncaster the other evening, but decided that for the welfare of the young players, they're not going to fulfil that fixture. Now, what's your take on that, and also what's your take on Bury? Because we're looking at both of these clubs, and in an age where there's millions and billions of pounds thrown through TV deals to football, especially at the elite level, it doesn't filter down to other leagues to the detriment of football clubs and the communities of those football clubs. Ultimately, the fans always struggle and suffer.
Well, the only detriment to the young players for me is when they get in the team, and if they're thrown too many in, like what's happened to Bolton.
Exactly.
I mean, they've had to do that. The only detriment to me is the pundits having a go and making statements about these players. The welfare is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a bigger problem for me is when you don't play some young players at all, they lose the art for football. When they get to 16, 17 and get released from a club, and what happens with them is they're back in the game. So I think that's false what they're saying. Now, you're right what you're saying when they've got too many to play in. It isn't the welfare of the kids, because every kid have got a swagger about them, and they think that they believe that they can play in the team. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got to try and fetch them in, play half a dozen games, maybe leave them out, then fetch them back in, see how they handle it again, and then they finally break into the team like all good players and great young players what come through the system, and then they become a standard in the team itself. So I'm disappointed that Bolton called the game off, not because of the young players, because the young players would have wanted to play, using the excuse as, the welfare of the young kids. Only thing what would pull them down and feel negative is the bad publicity if they got beat like they did at Tranmere. Yeah. Now that's the big problem with it. Now, can they handle that side of it? But the scenario with Bolton, they've got to do it because they haven't got players. I still don't think they've got an owner yet, have they?
No.
So all that in relation to young players is not helping them. It's not helping the club, and it's not helping the fans and everybody what works at Bolton Wanderers. Now, the Bury scenario is an even different scenario, because they've got an owner there what's making statements that he's done everything what the Football League's asked him to do, yet the Football League are not signing it off for Bury to play the games. Now, I don't know really too much about it, but I've listened to bits and bats on radio with Simon Jordan, and obviously the scenario we had at Crystal Palace, and he knows more about that than the owner of Bury. But my take of it, looking at it, that as he bought this, open that he's going to get building land on it, because for me, why not sell it? He's bought it, he's paid £1 for it.
Yep.
And he's wanting 10 million. Now, listen, anybody with any modicum sense would realise that Bury's not going to be worth £10 million to anyone unless it's for building, or whatever. It's not, as a football club, it's never going to be worth £10 million. So is he trying to destroy the community at Bury? I don't know. But something or someone should be stepping in and finding out what is happening, because on top of that, it's not fair to the other teams what's going to happen with the points scenario.
Again, that was my next question to you. I heard Lincoln's manager today on the radio saying that he's only got 15 players or 18 players, and he's got a couple of those players that are injured. He's thinking about putting a notice in, say, I can't fulfil the fixture because I haven't got enough players to take to a game. It opens a can of worms, and it puts the Football League in a really, really dodgy predicament, I think. And I think, although you've got to be fair, you've got to be hard, you've got to be all things to all people, and I think when a club decide to not fulfil a fixture, I think that's completely different to when the Football League say we're not going to allow you to play that game.
Well, You're right. It's going to open the can of worms, and it's going to give the people the opportunities.
Exactly.
Try and take liberties with it. Like a Lincoln, like you're saying, like a Lincoln City, saying, oh, we've only got 15, 18 players. But those 15 or 18 players have experience or had a good experience in first team football, where Bury haven't even started their games, but Bolton have. Now, I do get it in one sense, but in another sense, those players at Bolton would want to play. Regardless what anyone says, they would want to play. They're not bothered about getting beat 5 or 6-0. It's the scenario what comes with it, with the pundits, saying that they shouldn't be playing because of the welfare. And then it gives you, like you say, like what's happened with Lincoln is that they're going to, or trying to make an excuse that we want to do it. I'm not saying they would do it. They made the statement about it, but it's a threatening statement that then opens it up like a can of worms, like you've said, for other clubs to think, oh, we can get away with this. We might try and do this. You just got to be stopped.
Yeah, I agree. It's certainly a loaded statement. And as much as football clubs would sympathise with Bury and with Bolton, when there's points to be earned, there's promotion to be gained, it's the patience is really going to run pretty thin as it progresses if these situations aren't sorted out.
You're right, and to be honest, it's a good point what you've made. People don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to get 3 points taken away from us? When we're looking at those 3 points could have got us promotion or into the playoffs. So it's a funny predicament for clubs. So it needs to, and it should never have got to this, Gabby. It should never have got to this, that Bolton have had to start with this from the beginning of the season, or a Bury. As Bolton, in Bolton's case, that they've only got 4 or 5 senior players on the books, and the rest have made up a youth team. And Bury haven't even started it. So really, it's a disgrace from both, well, not the clubs, but the people what's been running those clubs. It's a disgrace from their behalf, really, how they have treated these football clubs and the fans and the Football League, what they've done and not stopped it happening in the first place. It's a disgrace to those football clubs.
And it does look as though it's getting worse for Bolton, because as we speak, it looks as though Steve Parkin and Phil Parkinson have both left Bolton Wanderers Football Club. So I don't know who's going to take over the reins and charge of it. It's just a watch this space. And as a football fan, I can only wish both teams both clubs all the very best, and all their supporters as well. Let's go back to 1979 now. Match from the vault. You've played so many games, but I'm always looking at football groups, and I saw a post from Sheffield Wednesday supporters. It was the first goal of your 24 goal haul, 22 in the league in the 1979-80 season, when Wednesday went to Barnsley, first game of the season, and stuffed your local rivals. But it was Jack Charlton versus Alan Clark as well, because Clarkey was the manager, and probably the first time that those two had met on opposing sides as managers and not players, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, any derby, as all football fans, as you will know, I mean, you've got to hear a few in your city, Wolves and Villa, West Broms, all these teams of this world. Yeah. So for us up in Yorkshire, I mean, we've got obviously Sheffield United, which is our closest rivals, and then Barnsley was on the doorstep. Rotherham's just up the road, and then you've got Leeds and little other teams what's around those areas. Chesterfield, the Doncaster. I mean, Chesterfield have dropped out of the league now, but when you're playing those teams, every type of derby is a good game to play because you want to beat them. But that game, like you say, it was the first game of the season. It was a 23,000 full house up at Oakwell. We beat them 3-0. And Jack playing against Alan Clark, his ex-teammate. But we always found when we played Barnsley, we would beat them up there when I played, and they always got a result at our place, whether it was a draw or they beat us. But it was a great game. It was my first goal of the season. I think it was the first goal for Sheffield Wednesday, if I'm right on that. So, but great atmosphere, absolutely fantastic atmosphere. And I'm from this side of Barnsley, really, which is about 25, 26 miles from Sheffield, but about 10, 11 miles from Barnsley. And so there's a lot of Barnsley fans who I know from in and around my area follow Barnsley, but all the stick they used to give me, but I repaid them with a goal and giving them a 3-0 tanking, and that's the only way to get back at them.
And how does it feel when you score that goal, in a derby game? As we progress, as the weeks and the months go by, when we get towards Christmas, we're going to be talking about the Boxing Day massacre. But a local derby or a game against your old club must give you more satisfaction. And it certainly gives us fans more satisfaction scoring against your nearest and dearest rivals.
Now, like I said, I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
When you score a goal, I mean, I don't know how other players. When you have a rush of blood, I don't really know what happened. You scored and you hear the roar, and you go to celebrate, and all of a sudden you even celebrate even more.
Yeah.
Because the fans are going absolutely wild and ballistic, and then all the players come in, surround you, either jump on you. But it's a fantastic feeling, and it's a great feeling if you score the winner against your arch rivals. But it's just a feeling. It's just an undescribable feeling. It's just elation and the excitement of it, and how you express it is a different. It's very hard to express. Now, when people say, "How did you do that with the ball?" And you hear a lot of players saying, or a lot of managers turning around and saying, "Well, I don't know how he's done that. We don't know what he's going to do. So how do we know what the opposition thinks he's going to do? Or his teammates are going to do?" But I used to say to Jack, what I think, Jack, is this: a defender, what he's wanting me to do is to push me back. Yeah. So he's thinking he's going to push me back, and as long as I start to go backwards, they think they've done the job. But in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to turn quick here, or I'm going to try and get between two players here, and get them thinking that I am going to go back, but try and get in between them, like I said. And that's how I used to think when I was doing things. I was always trying to think, why are they sending me back? Because you're taking me away from the goal. So I would let them think they were sending me that way, and then boom, produce something quick and a divisive turn, or a quick dribble to beat a couple of players. So going back to the goal scenario, it's just an elation that when you score and you're just hearing whatever is at the ground, whether it's a 30,000 or a 70,000 or a 40,000 spectators or a 23 like it was at Barnsley, it's just the uproar what goes with it.
That leads me up to my magic moment of the week was Neves' strike for Wolverhampton Wanderers against Manchester United. Oh. And I'm marrying this up with what you've just spoken about. He scored an absolute worldie of a goal. And it's almost now with VAR, a player scores a great goal and then they look at the referee, they do the little charade sign of a television, and you think, oh, for God's sake, why don't you just let the player enjoy the moment and the fans? And that's the one thing that VAR seems to be destroying and taking the soul out of scoring the goal and the elation of the fans. And I think that if you'd have disallowed that goal, I was listening to Alan Brazil, he reckoned he was going to kick his TV setting, and I was thinking things similar. Please don't disallow that goal, because there's not many goals as brilliant as that are scored every week.
Well, like I said early on in this show, it's going to cause a big problem. I hope it doesn't, but it will cause a big problem, because it was a fantastic goal. Mm-hmm. It did celebrate, and then the referee had got a word that they were having a look at VAR. They makes the players stop.
Yep.
So then all of a sudden the ground goes quiet.
Yep.
And it's either then it's a goal what stands and they celebrate, but it's the fans what celebrating and not the player, because the jubilation's gone out of it because we're having to wait to see what decision they're given.
Yep.
Or the goal's disallowed, and the opposition fans are happy. Yeah. Now, what will happen if it's a goal, last match of season, and it's either stop that team getting promoted or winning a cup final, or a team getting relegated? What happens then? Do we see the riot? Do we see some controversy over it all? That's the only thing. That's another thing what frightens me with it, Paul. It really does frighten me with it. We have to accept whatever decision is given. We have to, for the sake of football and for people what's in these grounds. But will it? I'm not sure it will.
No, I'm not sure it will. And again, that leads me to my next subject and topic of talk tonight on the Curran View. Designated penalty takers. And where I'm going now, you know what football fans are like. There's so much abuse on social media. Pogba misses a penalty. I got to say, I thought he smashed it. It went in. I thought the goalkeeper made a great save. But it usually is Rashford that takes the penalty. And I know at Arsenal, if a player got brought down, they used to have a rule that, for instance, if Bergkamp got brought down, Bergkamp wouldn't take the penalty, Perez would take it. Perez got brought down, Perez wouldn't take the penalty, somebody else would take it. Now, whether United, Pogba's gone, look, I've earned the penalty, I'm taking it. Rashford's a designated penalty taker. We've seen arguments on the pitch where the ball's been taken off another player. How did Jack do that at Sheffield? Was there a designated penalty taker? So no matter what happened, he took the penalties as long as he was on the pitch.
Well, Mark Smith was our designated penalty taker. Yeah. I mean, I think Mark got 10 out of 11 or 11 out of 12 or 12 out of 12. Not quite. I know if he only missed one. Now, when you take everything into consideration with everything, if you look at all this, because everything now is to do with social media and money for players and for the football clubs, and the massive amount of publicity that football gets. Now, when you get a manager assigned to tell all these players, look, this is where he's going to put this penalty. He might put it there, left-hand side. He might put it right-hand side. He either hits it straight down the middle. But on top of that, now they've got the TV cameras, videos to show them, or clips to show who takes the penalties, where he puts them. So I don't think it's a bad thing if you change players, because you have enough big egos what should be able to, or should be confident to go and take a penalty. The problem is if you've got a super cool penalty taker like a Matt Letizia, or like we had at Sheffield Wednesday, Mark Smith, very rarely miss, then don't take it. The problem is it's the big egos of the players, and then they're straight onto the social media to put on the news straight after the game on why he took the penalty, that he's the one what should be taking penalties and things like that. So it's funny. Now, as a manager, you can't, regardless what anyone says, you cannot come in after the game and give them a rollicking, because all that's finished with now. Yeah. There's none of that bullying anymore like we got when we were playing. How do you stop it? Because Pogba's not the first one. It happened up at Everton last season or 2 seasons ago with Leighton Baines. And it's happened at 1 or 2 grounds. Where's the other one? One kept coming to me head in a bit.
I remember Paolo. I mean, Paolo got the ball, didn't he?
Yeah, Paolo. That was being Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard.
That's right.
Yeah, but once you do that, you've got to make sure that you take it. But they keep going on about sticking to rules, and you know as well as I do, the advantage should be for the team what's got the penalty.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have a goalkeeper in and that they just take the penalty and put it into net. What I am saying is they've made a rule that the goalkeeper can't move.
Yeah.
And he should not come off his line.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rule. That is the rule. Whether it's Sheffield Wednesday or whether it's Birmingham City or whether it's Exeter City, the rule is that the keeper should not move off his line. Now, I think Pogba struck it well enough. Mm-hmm. It was the right height for the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But if you look at the penalty, the goalkeeper's is in middle at 6-yard box when he saved it.
Yeah.
Now, is it right? Is it wrong? People will turn you around and say, well, he's got a free shot at goal, he should score. The French this rule out, if it's handball in the box, that it's handball now. So same should have happened with the penalties. Yeah. Every penalty, no one should miss a penalty if that goalkeeper has to stand still until that ball's struck, because that's the rule.
Yeah.
That's the rule. Now, unless it's a really bad penalty kick from a player, then that's the only chance a goalkeeper has got a save in it. So for it's everything about it. The penalty. One player should be told before he's going out, and that's what they should stick to that. But you're giving players nowadays, well, I've won it, so I'm taking it. Yeah. And they know, regardless of what anybody says, what the pundits say, everybody in that team will know who's taking that penalty. Yeah. And on top of that, managers, because they can't say no because of the political correctness, they're not going to come on television and say, well, I tell Rashford he was taking it, and why Pogba's done this, because then he's having to go at the player. So they come out with a statement, well, one of them can take it. We're not really bothered, we expect them to score from it. No, they do know what's happening. And what happens then is players, because of the egos of it all, they want to take it. And that's what you're getting now.
I think the penalty that you were thinking of and thinking on your feet as well was the Fulham penalty last season, Mitrovic and
that's the one. That's the one, yeah.
And that's it. When you do that, you have got to score that goal. If you take that ball and you put it down, you have got to score, because you're going to get absolutely caned if you miss. And Kamara did miss, and you wouldn't fancy having a backhander or a jab or a kind of uppercut from Mitrovic, would you?
This I don't want to complain. I don't want to complain anything like when I was playing, but you wouldn't dare take a penalty. Yeah. If Mark Smith had been told to take that penalty. Yeah. Jack would have grabbed hold of you when you went in that dressing room, pin you up at side at wall, give you the clip. I heard Ferdinand and about Ferguson giving him a clip round the ear. That happened nowadays. You wouldn't dare do it. Mm-hmm. There is nothing you can do on that, only leave the player out, and then he will take it to the PFA and say he's been badly treated or harshly treated. So it's become a complicated scenario for managers and even players, because what's happening is the social media side of it. And I'm not blaming social media, because all players should know once that's been designated to that particular player, he should take it. He should take it up until that player misses. Now, you've got a scenario where you've got a player missing 4-5 penalties and they're still allowed to take them. Now, for me, that is wrong. That's wrong. That's strong, not strong management. And again, you can turn around and say, well, the political correctness you won't be able to do it. Oh, yes, you will, because you say, right, you've missed 3. Yep. I can say that that's the reason why you're not taking another penalty. So now you're coming off him, and we're going to put Rashford on him. And he'll stay on him until he misses, and he feels that he's not comfortable to take another penalty, or you don't mind him missing one, but once you start getting to 3-4, it can cost you big time. Yeah. I mean, it's cost Manchester United to go in top of the league Monday night, or joint top of the league. Yeah.
I want to talk about Bielsa, because I did see on your social media, which your social media, Terry Curran, plus your Terry Curran official, and on Twitter at Terry Curran _11, as well as your personal Twitter account as well. You're a big fan of Bielsa, like with Pep. He's a great manager, come coach. he improves players. And you watched the documentary and you was very impressed. In fact, you had a little bit of interaction from an Argentinian football fan as well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, you see, obviously I'm a massive Sheffield Wednesday fan.
Yep.
Right, but I'm one of these fans that if Barnsley come and played us and they played us off the park,
Yep.
I'm disappointed that how we've played. I'm disappointed that we've lost, but I'm appreciative of the opposition and how well they played. And if they've got a player what stood out, and think, wow, what a player he is. I wanted to watch it because obviously the build-up to the trailer of it was on about Bielsa, and I wanted to see how he did work. And I was fascinated. It weren't the Leeds United scenario of it. It was Bielsa himself. Because I walked away from football, and maybe that's for another day and why I walked away from it. But I'm always still want to learn and improve. And if I was coaching, I'd always want to improve my coaching methods. And what I saw of him, I mean, it started out at Newell's Old Boys. And what he did there was fantastic, but it's not one for buying players.
Yep.
And you see him; he never complains. He only complains if they don't back him what he's doing. And what he tries to do is improve players. He'll fetch young players. So that's what he's done at Leeds United. And I was fascinated, why he's not won trophies like Pep Guardiola. But when I watched it and analysed it, and got deep into it, what he's wanted to do is improve players. Now, if you take Leeds United, right, what he's done there, the three previous managers, what were at Leeds United, were going nowhere. What he's done, he's improved. You hear Sam Allardyce and David Moyes. I can only play a system with the players I've got. Now Bielsa has gone into Leeds United, only had the players what were there for the previous three managers, and he's improved that team no end.
Yep.
Those lads, Calvin Phillips, what he's done with him, the other managers were in and out of the team. The fans were giving him stick. He's made his value around about 25, 35, 40 million pounds.
Yeah, he has.
He's improved, not just him, he's improved the team, and he's done it without complaining about, I have money to spend on this. What we get with English coaches, these have got all this money to. He's wanted to take the elite on. He's wanted to take the best on. He's not bothered if he played Manchester City tomorrow, like the rest of some of our coaches in this country. Oh, we haven't got this, we haven't got that, we're going to get beat. He'd go and he attack Manchester City. Would he beat them? No, he wouldn't beat them. But you just never know. But what he wants to do, and what he has done, this game, as a coach, your job is to win games, but to improve your players. Not defend. And I know that you've got to be able to do both. You've got to be able to do both, because if you concede goals, you will lose games. But if you score more than the opposition, you've got more chance of winning games. Well, you will win games if you score more goals than the opposition. But what it will do, it gives you more chance of staying up in the Premier League. So it's a fascinating story about him. I know it's about Leeds, but I was more into the story with him, how he was thinking and why he was doing it. People are going about the Spygate. I think the Spygate affected Leeds United. There isn't another manager in this country hasn't done what he's done. Nothing. There isn't, and they've all cut to him around and having a go at him. Now the thing about it is, the best thing about it is they've all got the videos of every match everybody plays now. Yeah. Everything, so they can analyse any mortal thing without even going to spy on someone, because they're only going to spy on one thing and one thing only, is what type of free kick they're going to take. Yeah. That's the only thing they're going to spy on. Yeah. And it's an advantage. Yeah. Tell me how many goals are scored from corners. There's few and far between. Yeah. So when you get them in there, for the amount of corners in the game, right, you might get one after 3 or 4 games, and that might be 20 corners you've had. So at the end of the day, it isn't an advantage. It's making your players aware importance of a dead ball scenario: corner, free kick, penalty kick. If it's a penalty, trying to put your opposition penalty taker off. If it's a corner, you picking up a man and making sure that man does not get the run on you.
Mm-hmm.
How you do it, you've got to try and do it without giving a penalty away. Trying him not getting the first header of the ball. I mean, people sent me messages about the Manchester City or the Tottenham second goal. It was scored from a corner and it was bad defending. It was absolutely a fantastic ball.
Mm.
What Amora's just flicked on and it's gone into the top corner. Them you can't stop. You cannot stop them. It's bad marking and lackadaisical thinking at set pieces. And the prime example was Barcelona, one of the greatest teams of all modern day football. Their lack of concentration and marking against Liverpool for the winning goal in the semi-final.
Yeah.
You can't justify that. Even the top teams do it. What makes me laugh, Gabby, the biggest what makes me laugh is with everyone, the pundits, the fans. I mean, they all have a go at Manchester City, right? Yet Guardiola, his coaching is second to no one.
Yep.
So he's definitely in the top one, as Cluffy would put it. Guardiola's in the top one. But they will turn around and say, they can't defend. They can't defend. Manchester City, for the last 3 seasons, have conceded lesser goals than any other football team.
Yep.
Yet pundits say they can't defend. Now, how do you work that out? They've scored more goals than anybody, conceded lesser goals than anybody, yet the pundits and everyone's turning around and saying they can't defend, he can't defend, he can't defend. I wish I'd got that same team at Sheffield Wednesday. I bet you wish you got it at Birmingham City.
Oh, dear me. Only just.
To go and watch that every week. I won't mind paying me £60 every week to go and watch that.
Jeez, is that how much it is now at Sheffield
Wednesday? No.
It is expensive, isn't it? It's one of the most expensive grounds to visit, isn't it, Hillsborough?
I think it's about
40 quid, isn't
40 quid, I think it's about 40 quid. But what I'm saying is, I mean, when I said that £60, I mean, it's not as dear up. I think down in London, it's 60, 70, £80 for a ticket, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was just not a slip of the tongue. It was just a statement saying, because of that good, I won't mind paying me £60. I mean, it's expensive to go to football game, but when you're seeing that football, when you're seeing them footballers, and when you're seeing that type of coach them players, I wouldn't mind paying that myself.
Player of the week has got to be Teemu Pukki, and he's got to be value for money transfer so far, hasn't he, in the Premier League?
Brilliant. On my Facebook wall, I put about Norwich City against Liverpool, and people want to have a little laugh because I said, I knew Norwich weren't going to beat Liverpool. They know they weren't going to beat Liverpool, but they caused Liverpool problems. They caused Liverpool problems. Why? Because they were going to attack. Now, the first 2 goals what they got conceded was an own goal, and the second one was like a pinball machine. It came off 3 or 4 players and fell to Mo Salah, and he scored it. Yeah, and then it's hard then for Norwich to get back in against a team like that, But without a doubt, I mean, Newcastle probably weren't or didn't play well, and Norwich, the football they've brought up from the Championship and they're willing to play in the Premier League is second to none. It's fantastic, and I hope and I think they will. No, I don't think they will. They will stay up. I think Villa will do well, and even Sheffield United. He's got them playing and playing a football. What's going to benefit the players? That's what all 3 of them have done. I mean, I watched the game of Southampton, and everybody kept telling me, and I saw Van Dijk up in Scotland when I was with Doncaster with the youth team watching. We'd gone up there to play a few games, and I said he'll be in Premier League, and obviously he's gone and done that. But there's a guy who comes onto the ground stadium who works for the betting firm, what the latest prices back into the betting shops. He's a massive Liverpool fan, and he kept going on about Man City and Liverpool, what I think, and he kept going on about Van Dijk this and Van Dijk that. I said, let me tell you something. If you put the 2 goalkeepers in together, Mignolet and the other one they had, I said, they wouldn't make a good one between them. I said, you keep going on a Van Dijk. The most important position on a football pitch is your goalkeeper. Most in football on a football pitch is the goalkeeper. Near mind the centre forward. you'll get goals. It's having a confidence of the goalkeeper that the back four are going to be confident in knowing that if they do make a mistake, he's going to be the one what's going to protect them.
Yeah.
And I was telling Arthur about this, and I said, listen, Arthur, they need a goalkeeper. They need a goalkeeper. They've got to find, now they've found one. Yet, I haven't heard anyone talk about Van Dijk, because if you watch the game, Van Dijk had a torrid time against Southampton.
Yeah.
You know, and Ings,
Danny
what's
Ings.
the boy?
Yeah.
Danny Ings was up at Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, near to death, he's ball watching when Ings has got in between and nearly scored a goal.
Should have scored.
And I've not heard the pundits on about that, about Van Dijk, because if you're going to talk about a John Stones, then you've got to do the same thing with a Van Dijk. You know, you can't be. You've got to be fair on them both. So he were lackadaisical, and you can say, well, that's only one game. I've seen him in a couple of games, you know. But the big thing is the goalkeeper. And when Liverpool got that, and Arthur always says to me, you know, you're right there, Terry, it's made a big difference. And the keeper, and he's done all right in the two games, but the defence doesn't look as solid without Alisson in there. I guarantee you it doesn't.
I totally agree. And the mistake that the goalkeeper made for Danny Ings' goal was ridiculous to the extreme. Where you have been right on as well, Tal, in our predictions league, you come out on top. So you went 1-0 up last week with 4 predictions to my 3. You predicted a Forest win and I predicted a Birmingham City draw. But I did even it up last night, because Birmingham City won and you predicted the draw, and we've both gone for Leeds United and Fulham to win. So, I mean, if either lose, it doesn't really matter. So we're all square at 1-1 going into the next weekend's fixtures, which are Villa and Everton, Swansea and Blues, Preston, Sheffield Wednesday, Stoke, Leeds and Fulham and Forest. A few of your old teams that are scattered in there. The pick-out game there, Stoke and Leeds, always will remind me of a day when one Alan Hudson and Stoke City in 1973-74 season prevented Leeds United from going on that 30-game unbeaten run. They were 2-0 up. They had a goal disallowed by Sniffer, and then Uddy and the boys put them to the sword and ran out 3-2 winners. So that game will always remind me of back in the day of 1974.
Well, I mean, don't forget, in those days, they had a great team. You know, Banks, Dennis Smith, Pedgick, Hudson, Greenough, fantastic players. George Easton. That's some fantastic players and good football. And played good football. Both teams played good football when teams went to attack teams. You know, and then what happened was people saying that. We've got to learn to defend better, and then it's gone so negative and boring to watch. But going back to the scenario, what you were saying, I mean, that Leeds United was a fantastic football team, and Stoke prevented them going on to even greater success of stopping them winning game after game after game. You know, and it's a big achievement for a team when you're playing against teams like. But that's Stoke City. I mean, we all look at Stoke as though it's a small club, but Stoke, when I was growing up, had some fantastic football players and played some great football.
They did. There was another. I mean, Wolverhampton Wanderers were another club in
50s,
and also in the 70s. If you transferred what Wolves done in the 70s, they'd be in and around the Champions League spots now. Yeah. Football was different. Finally, Daniel Sturridge. Surprised that he signed for Trabzonspor, and I've said that right. I would have preferred him to have signed for Galatasaray or Fenerbahce. I struggle with Trabzonspor, but ultimately he's going to 3-year contract in Turkey. Good value, bad value. Why didn't a Premier League side or a Championship team snap up Danny Sturridge?
Well, you know as well as I do, and everybody will in the country. We've all got to agree. We all will agree on it. I mean, it's a different scenario with Andy Carroll because he's a different type of player. He's more of a skillful player, as Carroll is the best centre forward for hustling and bustling that's been for the last 10, 20 years. When we were talking about Andy Gray, he's the nearest one to Andy Gray when I think about it now. Yeah. His problem is it's not his ability. Yeah. I don't know what his attitude is like, but he's injured.
Yeah.
Now, if you're paying, I don't know what his wages were like at Liverpool, but if you're paying him, if a Sheffield Wednesday or a Birmingham said to him, "Oh, just say we agreed and he was happy with the £20,000 a week signing on wage for Sheffield Wednesday or a Birmingham City," if he's not playing, that's costing that club £20,000. He's not helping the club at all, is he? He's not helping the team. He's not helping anyone. So that's the reason why. I mean, going to Turkey, the big two, even they haven't taken him, have they?
No.
You know, so at the end of the day, that's his problem. It's not his ability. Because, I mean, the goal he scored for Liverpool last season or season before against Chelsea, you know, there's only players like him what's got that ability to be able to score that goal. I wouldn't just say there's only players like him what will score that goal, because there's plenty of players what's got natural talent what can get that goal, you know. So to have that type of player in your team, I mean, when he was playing at Liverpool before he was having his injuries, you know, he was in the England setup and he looked like, you know, being the England #1. He's a fantastic football player, but I wouldn't sign anyone what doesn't play 30, 35 games a season.
Yeah.
In my team, I wouldn't sign anyone what didn't do that. And I mean, what I mean by that, players what are top players but not playing through injury. That type of player I wouldn't sign.
Yeah. But if he does stay injury free and he does have a good period in Turkey, I would expect this time next year clubs queuing up to take Danny Sturridge.
Without a doubt. I mean,
that's the game.
It's got to be the best free transfer there is. If no one can guarantee it, no one will question his ability. Yeah. No one can ever question his ability. He's got pace, he goes past people, he scores fantastic goals, he's got good touch, he's got everything.
Yep.
What he hasn't got is a regular playing time over the last 4 or 5 seasons for Liverpool.
Yep.
You know, he's just not. I mean, when he's been fit, then he's not been able to get into the team because the team's been playing exceptionally well. I mean, they have three forwards there, a second to none.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been hard for him to get. If he is fit, it's been hard for him to get into the team. But it's not helped him with other clubs thinking, well, he is fit now, so yeah, we take a chance on him. So that has not helped him one little bit, because people are still thinking, is he fit or is he not fit? You know, so but only time will tell. But if he has a full season at Trabzonspor and he scores the goals, what's expected of him, then there'll be a queue of people wanting to take him back on again.
Totally agree. Well, we've done an hour now. we started at 19 minutes and 20 minutes. We got it up to half time. It's an hourly podcast where we chew the fat. We talk about both our loves of football. We're going to put on the back burner retirement, because we want to talk about Warner announcing the retirement. So we'll leave that till next week. We'll leave till next week you're walking away from the game and you're coaching, and chances of you getting back in the game, which I rightly believe you should be getting back in the game. And possibly not as a manager, as a coach, but certainly as somebody that can influence and talk to players, develop players, help and encourage players. There's an avenue down there, I'm sure, for former football players like yourself. But till next week, mate, let's hope on Saturday, and for my team Birmingham on Sunday, we're both next weekend singing the blues.
I hope so, Gabby, and I hope we're still in front of you come next weekend. But enjoy your holiday with your family, and I look forward to speaking to you next week.
Lovely. Top man. Cheers, Terry.
Cheers, buddy. Ta-ra.
Thanks, pal. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
SRB Media.